Full name is Marco Tremblay, but I go by Marco. I was born January 28, 1955. I was born in Shaplow, Ontario. I moved to Schreiber in August of 1959. Both sets of grandparents were born in Canada. I got together with my wife in 1990. Her name's Allison Collins. We didn't get married till 1999. We've been together the whole time. We met at a friend's house party. We have two children, Maggie, who's now 22, and Hank, who will be 21 2 weeks or so. My occupation when I worked was millwright, the Terrace Bay Pulp, Kimberly-Clark Mill. I have volunteered as, I'm still a volunteer fireman. I was on a couple different organizations and boards, like the Rossport Fish Derby and Ross Lake Fish Derby. Some of my favorite memories growing up in Schreiber, just the freedom, you know, the outdoors. We could just run off, go up the hill, chop trees down, make fires, and just generally had a real fun life. 1967, the centennial year, the parade was real cool. I really liked that. All the old cars were still running then. They had them in the parade, and the people were all dressed up in period costumes. Remember my mother was making them for people, the dresses and bonnets and all that. I guess she sold them or made them for cost, whatever. But there was lots of people dressed like that. Remember going to the station, just sitting around the waiting room or the platform and watching all the passengers. Passenger trains come in. They'd come in all day, sometimes get lucky, and one of my grandfathers would be the conductor on one of them. Remember, I don't know how much fun it'd be. I wouldn't do it now, but back then we all did it. They'd pull the fogger around town, and every kid in town was riding around in the cloud, and we'd ride all around town in the cloud of fog. Yeah, kill the bugs. It was probably DDT or something. Well, I didn't grow up in Rossport. I moved there much later in life. The kids grew up in Rossport. It was a different life. You don't have all the stuff you have in town here, and you don't have as many friends, being that there wasn't a lot out in Rossport. We hiked, we berry picked, we fished, we explored. We're out all the time. We weren't allowed to play in the house. There wasn't anything like television or anything really to count on. We had axes and matches, fishing rods, and we just were out. We picnicked out in the bush, you know, all over the place. Just climbed the hills all around town, wandered around. Things have changed since I was a child. I just mentioned about not much television. In my day, we had 2 channels, Canadian channels. They came in black and white most of the time, and if you were lucky, you got WLUC, Marquette, Michigan, channel 6. But that was pretty snowy. And that was as good as television got for years. Years. Television wasn't a factor really when I was a kid. I guess technology has changed big time. We just didn't have technology. The phone was nailed to the wall. Some people had party lines. Remember our phone number, 763. You picked up the phone and you got the operator and told her what number you wanted to call. And they'd put the call through. Flooding the rink. They dragged barrels around the rink to flood the ice. Homemade jobs. No Zambonis. kids skated around with wooden plows cleaning the ice. Some of my hobbies are gardening, especially. I have a pretty fair-sized garden. Really enjoy that. I like picking junk, looking for cool old finds, trying to find neat things. I like treasure hunting. I have a metal detector. Go out and play with it sometimes. And to go with the gardening part, I'm into pickling and canning, like jellies, jams, relishes, you know, pickles, you name it. If you can can it, I can do it. Stories about Schreiber. Well, I remember Dumpview Raceways. That was a real fun time. I was probably around 12 or 13 then. Down where Teddy Graham and Althea's house is, used to be the old dump. I remember when they were still bringing the garbage there. But when they shut that dump down, they just buried the garbage, and that used to be Hoppa's farm. And a bunch of local guys, a couple of years older than me, they were buying wrecks from Spadoni's for cheap, and they'd take them down there and they'd just do a circuit, sort of like a smash-up derby, but they weren't really all out for smash-up. They were just running them around, rolling them, flip them back over, and just when they didn't go, you got another one. That was fun. I remember just imagining like sitting on some of Hoppa's old machinery. It was all horse-drawn stuff, just sitting on there. I wished I could get my hands on that stuff now. I'd have it in my yard, rusting. Remember lots of games. You could play football or soccer, road hockey, baseball, tag, British Bulldog. You always had a crowd. You know, it wasn't a problem to get 16 or more kids together, just playing various games. Going to the arena, watching hockey, watching men's league and ladies league, actually, going back a few years. It was just across the street from where I grew up, ballpark there. There was always lots of action. It was a good time to go. The house Paul Saburio lives in now. I lived in both sides of that. When we first moved, we lived on the east side of Paul's duplex, and then my dad got a different job in the station. He was a railroader. He got a different job, and we had to move. It was winter. I was probably about 8 years old. Remember, we had a path shoveled from one back door to the other, and just steady going, boxes and bags of stuff, just moving from one side of the house to the other. That was the last time we ever had to move that way. They just quit doing that. Before, the houses were designated for a position on the railroad. So if you changed your position, you changed your house. The Rossport Fish Derby was a big thing. It had just started back up shortly before I moved out there in '86. And fishing had come back. The Derby was a real big thing. Got lots of people into town, lots of people out in the lake. There was things to do. Sometimes we had live music. And when I moved out to Rossport was sort of coming back to life a bit. People had been moving back there, and people started raising families after that. And it sort of rejuvenated it. I like to think that anyway. Brought some life into the town. I enjoy hearing stories. I didn't hear as many when I first moved there, but I've heard them through the years from the older people. Remember Herbie Legault telling the stories. I was in his basement, and he was showing a couple of us his pictures, and they were really neat pictures, and he he hid them in the basement. He said he was ashamed of them because of what they did then. They shot caribou, you know, brought them home on their tugs. They had to feed their families. It was depression. You had to feed them. I'd do it today if that's what it took to feed, keep my family alive. So I never thought ill of it. I think growing up in Schreiber was a great place to grow up. I couldn't have pictured living in a city or anywhere else, really. You just had everything at your fingertips. You were minutes away from the bush. From my house, I could be lost in the forest, and if I ran about 2 minutes, I could be lost in the forest and not to be seen until I was supposed to be home again. People were so friendly, so easygoing. You didn't have people worried about theft or anything. You had your milk bottles out on the front step with money sitting there, and no one went and stole the money. My mother never lost money, ever, that I know about. Money or milk tickets. Where else can you grow up? You could phone an order into the grocery store and they'll deliver it to your house, bring it right in the house for you. Right now I've got it swung around. Rossport is the main place, Schreiber is the suburb. It's a bit of a convoluted way to look at it, but that's how I see it. Once again, a great place. Raise a family, just to live. It's so quiet. It's just nice. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't go anywhere else, not by choice.